It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car con Carne. I'm James Van Alstyne, and Car con Carne is a Q101 podcast. Recording today, it's 65, 70 degrees in Chicago in March. Nothing makes sense anymore. Recording outside Reggie's on State Street over by State and Cermak in Chicago. And Car con Carne is sponsored by Easy Automation, easy-automation.net. Imagine if everything in your home were connected seamlessly. I'm talking about climate, audio, video, security, every aspect of your wired home connected. That's what a smart home is. That's what smart living is. And my friends at Easy Automation are going to help you turn your dumb home into a smart home. And this goes for business places too, offices, restaurants, clubs, whatever. My guys at Easy Automation can get you set up and get everything to work in sync with one another. It's your home, your place, your office, your rules. Get a quote. It's hassle-free and friendly. Easy-automation.net, or call my guy Dan directly. He's probably the best person to call. Call Dan directly, 630-730-3728. Again, hassle-free, zero strings attached. Car con Carne is also sponsored by a book. There it is, 90 Days in the 90s, written by Andy Fry. I think we've all at one point or another thought about what we would do if we could go back in time, do things differently. Well, Darby, the protagonist of this book, gets to do just that. She is a record store owner in Chicago, and she jumps on the gray line, not the brown line, not the blue line, not the pink line, not the yellow line, the gray line, which takes her back in time to the 90s in Chicago. Now, for those of us who lived through the 90s, we know what an incredible time for music, and that is well represented in this book, Chicago's vibrant, thriving 1990s music scene. Find out what Darby decides to do. Does she stay back in the 90s? Does she come back? It's all in their 90s, 90 Days in the 90s.com. To learn more, go to 90daysinthe90s.com or pick it up on Amazon or wherever you buy books. One quick programming note. This coming Thursday, April 3rd, I'm back on stage with Car con Carne doing this show in front of a live audience. I'm going to do it for the next few months out at Legit Dogs and Ice in South Elgin. You may have been to their original location. They just moved, reopened on Randall Road. Great space, skate punk vibe. The food kicks ass. They've got pinball there. I love pinball. Anyway, I'm going to be doing this show live. I'd love for you to be there in the audience, as I'll have interviews and live performances with two different bands, East Moon and Ricky Liontone's Review. They're going to be playing. We'll be talking to them. Also, live stand-up comedy from Joseph Christopher. He's going to do a stand-up set. And artist Chris Pienta, a returning guest, showing off his stuff. Everybody doing interviews. We're hanging out Thursday night, 8:30. Doors, I think, are at 7:30. 8:30 start time. It's going to be a great hang. And you, if you go, you'll end up as part of this video and audio episode. So I mentioned that I'm outside Reggie's, awesome Chicago rock club. I'm not doing this episode inside the car. I'm going inside Reggie's for this one, and I'll be interviewing pianist, composer, improviser, scenographer Jean-François Alcolea. And we'll be talking about Right in the Eye. It's this thing he's touring behind right now. Early silent films that he has created live scores for with two other players playing like 50 plus instruments. It is fascinating to watch and hear. It is this immersive multimedia experience. He is doing this tour of the U.S. He's been doing these since like 2000, but I'll be talking to him here on Car con Carne. So we're here on the rooftop. It's windy. Welcome to the Windy City. We're here on the rooftop of Reggie's. Tonight, you are doing Right in the Eye. This isn't a movie screening. This isn't a concert. It's somewhere in between. Explain the concept of what you're on the road with right now.
So, it's usually called a live movie concert, which is silent films and music. However, our proposal is a kind of different from the other of the genre, in the sense that we not only have the music accompanying the the screening. However, the music and the screening are a part of a whole proposal. And what I love to call this a kind of journey. We embark the audiences from the beginning to the end with the 12 films of the screening and the music. We embark the audiences on an amazing and unique journey. This is a journey.
It is a journey, and so the films in particular are based on Georges. I'm not going to pronounce his last name correctly.
Méliès or Méliès.
Perfect.
Méliès.
Especially as time goes on, I think a lot of this work is lost to the generations.
Yeah, from a certain way. So we call these clips in the sense that they are short, right? But at this period, a long film was something like 50 seconds. So the first films of Méliès are something like 50 seconds long, and the longer we have on the show is something like 18 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay. And what is it about this cinema work that attracted you? What made you think, I want to create a score for this?
Oh, it's a long story. Because what is very interesting in Méliès' works is the fact that Méliès was at first a magician. So he was a performer. I am a performer, and I really love the relationship between the stage and the audiences, the connection we can make with audiences. And the idea of Méliès, for instance, was not to make cinema how we call it nowadays. It was something to go further in his art, his own art, which is magic. So he saw something in cinema, a way to go further in his performances. And this is at first one thing very important. Another thing very important, we are at the early beginning of cinema. And Méliès is a kind of the father of cinema. And he created special effects, animation films, science fiction films. So everything that makes cinema what is it today.
This is where it all started.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. And the idea was to bring up to the audiences this very old movie, but not old movie, the origins, because it's very, very, very much creative. And I really love this creativity and wanted to bring up this creativity and with my filter of the music, make something, make the music match with images.
And you said it, back then it was wildly creative because there were no rules. I mean, there was no established way to create something on film. He just went with where his brain took him.
Exactly.
Which is very liberating.
Definitely. Yeah. He was thinking from the negative, from the film into the pellicule. So he was thinking upside down.
Yes.
You know? Because the idea was to catch the light. And it's absolutely clever because he managed to split all the scenes, all the frame, and created all the tricks and special effects we have nowadays, for instance, with just scissors and glue. It's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
So you and two other performers are bringing 50 or so instruments on stage to create this accompaniment to the film. And you're bringing instruments, I mean, sure, you've got snare, cymbals, spoons, vibraphone, marimba, glass harmonica, plastic plates, slide flute. I mean, this is bananas. This is...
Yeah, but when you watch the films of Méliès, it's just pure creativity. Mm-hmm. So the idea with all these instruments, I would say, with all these colors. The idea is to be exactly in the same mood as the films.
Does working on projects like this make you think, oh, I want to score a modern movie? Do you ever, after going on the road, doing this sort of thing, do you ever go back to your studio or your home and think, oh, I want to work on a modern film. I want to do sound for a modern film. I want to create scenes for modern cinema?
Not really, in the sense that that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
And the idea, for instance, I created something like between 35 and 40 different productions, and I'm working with images since more than 25 years, and it was always images from our own productions, our own creations. And it's the first time I worked with this project. It's the first time I worked with old movie, and not only old movie, it's the first time I'm working with another author,
Right.
And it's like it was like for instance, a composer like Mozart, for instance, working on a libretto, So the idea was to understand how Méliès was working, in what mood he was, and to be with. Just to be with.
How do you personally tap into creativity? Where do you find the spark? Where do you find that thing that sets your brain going?
So I'm a musician and a pianist, basically, but I'm also curious on what kind of sound you can have when you dive into the piano, for instance. And you can have a lot of different sounds and not effect, but different kind of sounds. And it's the same with any kind of objects, according to how you use it, according to how you feel it, how you can receive the sound. It's the same in the nature. You can say this is music, for instance, or it can help. And I also worked a lot for sound design and very different kind of music genres.
That makes sense. When you go out on the road, you're touring America with Right in the Eye. How do the crowds respond? Do they even know what to expect when they walk in?
No.
That's a good position to be in.
Exactly. They don't know what to expect when they come to the show. And it's incredible. For instance, it's at the beginning of our spring 2025 tour in the US right now, and we were the first stop was in Detroit. Yesterday we were there. The day before we performed there as well. And what is very interesting is the fact that yesterday there was a lot of people who came the night before, who came back to see the show again,
because there's nothing else like it.
Exactly.
And who knows when they'll have a chance to do that again? May as well take every opportunity that's here.
Yeah, but it's also because now it's not just watching a screening or watching films or a concert. It's you've got things. You've got a kind of narrative in the screening and in the music as well. So there is a kind of ping pong,
Yes.
between the screening and the music. However, there is a third part, which is the audiences, and there is a kind of interaction between all of this that makes the journey going on.
You're having fun.
Definitely.
So the tour in America, obviously we're here on the Chicago date. The tour through the U.S. goes through April?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So if people are watching across America, there's still a chance to see.
Hopefully.
Yes. I think it's super cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
And like I said, I don't think there's much like this. And what's crazy, we're outside Reggie's. It's super windy, by the way. This is a rock club. And I love the fact that they're having you here for this.
It's crazy because it's them. They contacted me and say, "Oh, guys, what you're doing are very interesting. We would like to do something with you." So why not? I didn't know it was a kind of rock club.
I think it's perfect.
Kind of, but what is very interesting is the fact that, for instance, last year we were invited at the Ottawa International Jazz Festival. We also performed this show in operas. We performed the show in...
It's agnostic. It's not locked into one musical style.
Definitely.
I love it.
It's something very wide open. And
so as we're talking, it's starting to rain, so we're going to wrap it up. I don't want you to get too wet before you have to perform on stage
okay.
at Reggie's. But what a cool thing you're doing. What a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for chatting.
Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the relationship we have.